plaintiff, Anthony Lowndes, says his grandparents adopted him and raised him. And when he was 11, he learned that his oldest sister was actually his biological mother. Anthony acted out after that, but eventually turned his life around. Anthony got in touch with the defendant, who he believes is his father, and he petitioned the court for a paternity test. Defendant Francisco Gonzalez says when the plaintiff was born, he was named after Francisco. But from the start, there was a plan to take his son away from him. Francisco says he tried to remain in contact with Anthony, but his adoptive family made that impossible. But not a day has gone by where he hasn't thought about his son.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Give me some background.
So, Your Honor, since I was about 9 months old, I was raised by my biological grandparents. They raised me as their own son, adopted me. My name was changed on my birth certificate to carry them as mother and father. When I was about 11 years old, my biological grandmother made the decision that it was time to sit me down and share with me some pretty significant information. She revealed to me that she wasn't my biological mother, that who I was raised knowing as my oldest sister was in fact my biological mother. This was kind of a bombshell to me. As a child, basically they destroyed my world. Everything I knew was fake.
Your mother was there in the household, or?
No.
Okay.
The next time I saw her probably was within a week after that.
Mm-hmm. How'd that go?
And I hated everybody. Mm-hmm. My respect for everybody left.
Mm-hmm. What was your relationship with your mom after age 11?
That really did a number on me. It changed me for the worse.
And you didn't like your mom after that?
I really didn't. I didn't like anybody for a while. Between the age of 12 and 17 was really loose. I sold drugs, stole cars, broke into houses. It was all 'cause I wanted the freedom to show everybody I didn't need them. And, it wasn't until I got late in my 20s, early in my 30s, that I was really able to come to terms with myself.
How did you turn your life around from that?
My first wife was pregnant when I was 17. And as I was coming up on my 18th birthday, I had this thought process that, with adulthood and turning 18 and my juvenile record being closed and a kid on the way, I'm gonna do better for myself. I started working in security. I started bouncing for nightclubs, doing night jobs and day jobs.
Didn't go back to crime?
I didn't go back to crime yet. I got arrested because of some of the people I had made associations with in the clubs. Long story short, I spent 16 months in jail for trafficking ecstasy. It gave me a lot of time to grab perspective of myself, of my life, of the example I'm leading for my kids, of the pain I was causing the people who love me. When you got to stand up in front of a chain link fence with 12 feet and another chain link fence to see your family, and you know that they're getting up 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning to come drive and see you, you got to be really stone cold for it to not get to your emotion. And I really got on top of myself and said, when I hit the streets, I have to do right. I gotta get my stuff together. So I did. I came out. I've made a better life for myself. I opened a business. I haven't gotten to any astronomical levels of success where I'd like to be, but I consider myself a good man.
Absolutely. Two observations I want to make. One, there's a misconception about street guys that they don't care about their children And in fact, many of them are motivated to change in the exact way that you said you were motivated. All right, I'm a street guy, but I have a child now, or I have a baby on the way. So I'm going to change. I'm going to try and stop. I'm going to try and get out of the street game. And the second part is that the pressures of not having a means of supporting that child can cause them to relapse and go back into the street, because that same child that they wanted to leave the street for is now looking at them and wondering why I can't get any Jordans.
Yep.
Everybody else's school got Jordans, Dad. You want to give me some information before we get into you all's relationship?
Thank you, Your Honor. First of all, this gentleman's name is Francisco Howard Gonzalez. That's the name his father and his mother gave him at birth. I was there when he was conceived, I was there during gestation, and I was there during his birth. And a month before his birth, one of his family members sat me down and tried to get me drunk. I used to do intelligence gathering in the United States Navy. One of the things they teach you is the whiskey bottle and the drinks. I got that person drunk. That person told me they had a plan, that if I had a man-child, they were going to take him from us.
Do you have any idea why?
This person had 3 females, and they wanted a boy in their life always. And they didn't want the legacy of their name to die off, okay? I told my love of my life what the plan was. And I told her under no circumstances was she to trust this individual.
And you weren't going to go for the plan,
I
obviously.
wasn't going for that
So what
plan.
did happen?
Due to circumstances beyond my control, because I did not have the finances to fight the judicial system, the plan was put in effect. When they took him away from me, I did go to visit him. I did try to maintain contact. This individual will come out in the street and make a scene. I didn't know what the purpose of it was until I hired an attorney. The attorney told me they had a court order of protection against me. That,
Alleging you had done what?
alleging that I was a threat to her.
Got it.
And I had never threatened them with violence.
That's incredible.
Okay.
I was
heard
24 years old at the time. When I realized that there was nothing I could do and that the judicial system was already in motion, I decided to start
I'd
a
like
new life.
to know who stole me. Because I got a 20-year-old kid.
Your Honor,
and I tell you what, hold on, don't interrupt me. 'Cause
he was allowed
I
to say
listened
his
to you.
part. I want to be allowed to
listened
speak,
you.
please.
I was about 9 months old. I was raised by my biological grandparents. When I was about 11 years old, my biological grandmother made the decision that it was time to sit me down and share with me some pretty significant information.
Plaintiff Anthony Lowndes says his biological mother told him that the defendant was his father, but Anthony petitioned the court for a paternity test to discover the truth.
Okay, go ahead and finish. So far, somebody stole him from you. What else? What else?
As a result of that, I moved on with my life. That being said, Your Honor, from the day that I was taken away from him, I haven't had a happy holiday. I have always thought about him. He has always been in my mind and in my life. I was an athlete. Whenever I wore a number, I wore number 13, January 3rd. January 3rd, 1979, at 7:10 p.m. that boy was born, and I was there. And that was the happiest day of my life. And I have never been so sad, and I have never been so miserable since the day he was taken away from me.
I got 2 cents.
Yeah, let me say this before you weigh in. If we are to believe perhaps even half of what he's saying, I don't know about this plan hatched to steal you. Let me say this, though, sir. There are circumstances where particularly young men are excluded from the life of the child. And it could be many different reasons involving family, economics, whatever. It's a lot of things could go on. And now this 13, I mean, that sounds like he still had love in his heart. Meaning, if he had love in his heart and he thought about you, maybe there were things that prohibited him from having a relationship. He moved out of state, loses the number, or he never had the number. There's so many things that could have happened. But go ahead.
His exact words, I moved on. Those weigh in my brain and in my heart like concrete. I have a 20-year-old that I was estranged from her mother.
I had no
Stop,
choice.
let me talk.
I had no choice.
Because you told me to let
Go
you
ahead,
speak.
you speak. I had no choice.
At 20,
Your mother has cried a river because of you.
Sir,
Your
you
mother
all
has
got a lot of nerve to be pointing the finger and talking loud to him, you, his mother, or anybody else. So we need to just calm down and let him have his say.
Thank you, Your
He's the one that is the survivor of this situation. So go ahead. What else you want to say, sir?
Thank you, Your Honor, for saying it so eloquently, because there's many people in my life who will take a quick position as he's taking right now, where they'll jump to an emotional perspective rather than taking a deep look and get an understanding of what my position is, okay? Now, like I was trying to explain to you, is I have a 20-year-old son, and from 2 years old, I separated from his mother. My son, to this day, whether I talk to him 3 times in a month on the phone, or I talk to him 3 times in a week on the phone, my oldest son and I have been in touch since day. And I can actually thank you for that, because who I grew up as and how I grew up gave me the determination to make sure that I'm a better father than you ever hadn't.
Sir, calm down.
Than you ever allowed yourself the opportunity to be.
Okay. All right, let me intervene now. Sir, I know it's hurtful what he's saying.
Yes, it is.
All right, but you got to take it. He's
I'm not
been hurt.
taking
You have to. He's been taking it all his life, sir.
So have I.
I didn't ask for
13,505
it wasn't his
days.
fault. Now, let's not go there, because I can come up with 100 avenues that you could have taken to avoid him having to be traumatized by this. Now, you got to let him have his say, and hopefully you can get beyond it. I know you're hurting. No, just take it today. You may not have to take it again, but take it today. Take his hurt today, and you swallow your hurt.
I've been swallowing my hurt
Well,
for
then do it one
37
more
years.
time. Do it one more time. Today. And let me just say, that did teach you, I'm sure. And a lot of the young guys I know and I meet now who have been affected like this, same thing. They say, hey, I'm going to be a good father because my father wasn't in my life. I know that was the case with me. I wanted to build a family and hung around not only because I love my wife, but because I love my children, wanted to be a good father and not abandon them as my father abandoned me. So thank God that is one of the things you took from your trauma.
This gentleman's name is Francisco Howard Gonzalez. That's the name his father and his mother gave him at birth. I was there when he was conceived, I was there during gestation, and I was there during his birth.
Plaintiff Anthony Lowndes says his biological mother told him that the defendant was his father, but Anthony petitioned the court for a paternity test to discover the truth.
How did you all get back in touch, by the way?
So about 2 months ago, Your Honor, I got a text message from my biological mother. When we finally spoke, she said she wanted to give me his information because he wanted to talk to me. I sent him a text message introducing myself. We texted back and forth for a bit. Maybe a week later, we finally spoke on the phone for the first time, and he was with my grandmother. I got to speak to her for the first time, which was pretty significant for me. We had a very good conversation, which I'm very happy that we were able to have. You know, I do believe he cares, and I do believe he believes he's my father. And I don't necessarily have a whole lot of doubts that he's my father, but, you know, unless you're ankle chained to somebody 24 hours a day, you can never know. You don't know if she ever strayed. You don't know.
Your mother never strayed.
Hold on,
your
bud.
mother was an honorable woman, and you respect your mother. I'm telling you now, your mother was not a slut. Your mother was a wonderful woman, and I still love her, and I will die for that woman. Okay? So don't talk about your mother hurting. You have broken her heart by
stop
driving
all
me
that
in here.
big talk. You could have died for it then.
I would have.
You could have died for him before you left. Could have fought them people who took him. Go ahead.
And this meeting, this day, this is the first time I've laid eyes on this man in person my whole life. To me, I did have concern from when we first spoke of how are we going to talk? What am I going to say? I didn't even know what to ask him. Like, how do I introduce myself to this man? Who are you? To me, that was everything in my heart. Who is this guy? Why are you reaching? Like, I got 3 kids. If you are my father, you got 3 grandkids that you ain't never known.
Okay.
I
Well,
want to
let's-
make sure that before I let him into my life, that he is who he
your
says,
dad,
and that he'll
that's
be.
what we're going to
he'll
get the
be
DNA
good
test
for my
for
kids.
before you let him into your life. And it's good to hear you say before you let him into your life. That means you're willing to. And
I want him to be part of their lives.
Good, because we do know that Francisco Gonzalez is your father. All right? So.
I love you, bro. You don't know how much I miss you. You have no idea how much I miss you, man. I love you. Please stay in my life. Please. Please.
I hope to always be in his life and with my grandchildren's life until the day I die.
I hope that he can step up to that statement. He's missed a lot. So.
I know. You don't know how many
No,
nights.
you don't know.
How many nights I lay awake thinking about you, wondering where you were and how you were. You have no idea how much I missed you.
Oh.
You have no idea what a sad life I had because you weren't in my life. You have no idea.